I want to play some of these other sound bites, okay? Because there's other sort of like nuggets in here that are kind of interesting to me. We had Ashley report yesterday that her source told her the net. She said they were Nest cameras and that they were both smashed. She said they were smashed, and that then law enforcement, we believe, removed them. The sheriff seemed to deny that here in SOT 101.
The doorbell camera, it was removed. We know that, but we're not confirming that any cameras were smashed or destroyed around the house. I don't know where that came from, but that's something we're not confirming.
So we're not confirming. Why wouldn't he confirm a smashed camera?
I have absolutely no idea. That doesn't jeopardize the integrity of the investigation at all.
Right.
Unless,
I mean, he's giving us the timeline earlier of doorbell camera disconnects. So it's like, how did they have like a bomb technician in there cutting the red wire, but not the green one? It's like, obviously somebody did something to it. So what's that about?
Yeah, that's what I can't figure out. I do find it interesting. And I like that either Jonathan or Jim mentioned was the fact that she didn't have a subscription. Right? Very few people would know that. Only close personal. And I don't even think workers, because at first, when I first started diving into this case, first thing that comes to mind is home health care workers, people that are in the house a lot of times that see maybe jewelry or anything around there. That comes to mind first. But with the subscription aspect, it gives just another layer of someone who probably knew. And again, but smash versus unsmashed, I have no idea.
Okay. And what about, let me play you the soundbite about the car, because we're back on Ashley's reporting where she said her law enforcement source told her that Annie Guthrie's car had been towed and impounded, whatever that means, just like kept at the lot, not returned to her. Brian Enton couldn't confirm that. He said he wasn't sure. Having like he could see one car at Annie Guthrie's residence, but that didn't mean that the other car wasn't inside the garage. And the issue of a car being towed away did come up today, not as clearly as we would like, but here's how it went down.
The car, the car that was at the home, it's just standard investigative practices. It's part of the search warrant scene, court orders. We pull it out of there and do our scene processing with the vehicle.
Okay. Deb, do we know what the question was leading into that? Because like did somebody say, did they tow the car? Yeah, that's right. That's right. My producer Lauren's reminding me he just threw that out there, Chad. It wasn't in response to a question. It was like he was just clarifying a couple things and just says the car. Okay. Whose car? Where?
Well, let's think about what was the key piece of evidence in the Alec Murdaugh case, the computer in the car, right? So if the family is saying, we took her home at 9:48 p.m., I watched her walk inside at 9:50, she put the door or garage door down. At that point, the vehicle, unless they're driving a 1950 vehicle, these they're going to be able to pull the data. Did that car leave the house again later on in the evening? And a full processing of the vehicle as well. But I'm telling you, the day and age of driving your vehicle and committing a crime, that's over with. So could that be it? Are they searching for DNA? But again, with the DNA aspect, I feel like with the FBI's crime lab, since they're already getting pieces of DNA back, if they're sending off samples or pulling up carpet or mats in the car, that should be back by now.
Yeah, they would possibly know. And the other thing is in defense of the brother-in-law, I don't mean to dump on the brother-in-law because it's just one report and unconfirmed. I keep Savannah's brother-in-law, Nancy's son-in-law. But in his defense, they almost certainly would have said to him on Sunday, maybe Monday at the latest, let me see your cell phone. Like, let me have it. And I'm sure he would have turned it over. Even if he had done something, it would have been so, whatever. It would have made him look guilty to say no. It would have been so incriminating to say no. And so by now they would have run that whole thing. Your phone, they know when you put it down to go to sleep. They know when it was at rest. They know when it was upright, like on you and you're walking around with it. They know everything. That Alex Murdaugh case showed us that.
Yeah.
Like they could tell they could tell how fast he was walking around his kitchen. Like if this guy got up in the middle of the night and went over to his mother-in-law's house, if he took his phone, and maybe he was smart enough not to do that, if he was involved, they would know. Now, if he left his phone sitting on his bedside table and never touched it, it's more difficult. But if he took the family car over there, you're exactly right. It's like taking your phone with you because that thing is recording a bunch of data too.
Yeah, 100%. So again, there's no getting past that. Also, I'm sure when we talk about diving into forensic evidence, it does make it hard to believe. And personally, as an investigator, I would take that phone, I would dump it. I'm going to give that phone back and probably wait a few days. And then I'm going to take that phone and ask and get a search warrant and ask for it again. What is this, And again, I know we keep going back to the son-in-law just because that's, seems to be a person that's been mentioned several times. What is that person looking at in the following days afterwards? What are they researching on Google then?
It's true. They do that all the time. Yeah. It's amazing. Like if you listen to Dateline, you know that so often when a crime is committed, whoever is the perpetrator will go online on their phone thinking it's fine to Google, how do I cover up murder? It's crazy what people will do, but you see it over and over.
Well, do we know who actually went into, so it says 11:56, family checks on Nancy. All right. Did they go?
That's a new time, by the way. We were told before that the family got a call like around 11:10 and that they went right over to check her house for her. And the sheriff even said at his presser the other day, excuse me, oh, it took them a while. They didn't call us right away because they're looking for her. And to me, that made sense. Before you call the police, you're checking everywhere. You're like, did she trip and fall in the backyard? Did she go for a walk or something? And I would check everywhere before I involve police. Sure. But today it changed to 11:56 a.m. The family, I can't read my own writing, checks. The family checks on Nancy. She's missing, 11:56 a.m. And then he says at 12:03 p.m. So 7 minutes later, they call the sheriff. That was a new revision of the timeline. Why?
Exactly, because those calls are date stamped. He knew the other day. That's like you said. I agree. That's a short time frame. We've got a large home. We've got a backyard. Wouldn't you assume if you come in now? I guess Megan, the only caveat to this could be when they approached the front door and they saw the blood droplets spatter. They realize, this isn't normal. So now we're going to, call. In a normal situation, you would think they'd walk over to the neighbors. Hey, did you see mom? Call EMS. Hey, did y'all happen to transport anyone? Call the local hospitals.
Okay, but let me just say something, Chad. Let me just say something about that. I'm very open-minded to this is some guy from Mexico. It's a landscaper. It's some rando. It's the guy who trespassed on the 90-year-old's lawn a month earlier or sometime within the month of January. I have no idea. But I will say this in the other lane, that it's possibly a family member. The original story was definitely that she didn't show up, that the family was told around 11:10 she didn't show up at church, and that they spent about an hour looking for her and then called the cops. That's what the sheriff told us. But then what I've seen all over the internet over the past few days is people saying, unlike me, who I'm like, I would wait before I called the cops. All these other people saying, who waits an hour to call the police over their missing elderly mother? And there have been a lot of people online who found that very suspicious. So I have to say, I think it's just those two, Annie and Tomas at this point. Savannah, I presume, was in New York. She was about to go to the Olympics this week. She had a big week in New York. I haven't heard any reports that she was out there already visiting the mom. So I think it's just Annie and the husband, Tomas, are the ones who come on scene and call the sheriff. Are they the ones who changed the timeline? Are they the ones who changed it from we looked for an hour to, oh, no, it was 11:57 that we got to the house and we saw she wasn't there and we called within 7 minutes? I don't know, but nobody asked about that change in the timeline.
Yeah, and I think it's important too. what's the daughter's name? Annie.
Annie
And
and
Tomas.
Tomas.
Did they have Ring doorbells as well? And do they have young children? Because if they have young children, you know who doesn't know how to lie very well? Young kids. Hey, the other day, did mom or dad leave at a certain time? These are questions that I would want to ask. Whenever I would work, roll up to a domestic kind of call, you separate parties. You know who I'd talk to? If I talk to the husband or the wife, I'd talk to the kids, because kids are usually good at telling the truth in situations like this.
That's so true. Well, and also their phones on Sunday. Now, if he's not using his phone or she's not using her phone on Sunday, that's suspicious. I mean, everybody picks up their phone when they get up. It's like, sadly, it's an appendage now. So I think those phones will show us. And maybe they've already looked at that and ruled them out, although he wouldn't say he'd ruled anybody out. He specifically said they had not ruled anybody out. But you would think that the phone movement on Sunday might show them exactly what the movements were and when this alleged call came in from the person at the church, because now there's conflicting information on that. This is another thing nobody asked about today at the presser. The original reporting was that she didn't show up at the church, and a concerned churchgoer who knows she's always there called the family. And then the family went to the home at around 11:10. I think there's a 10:45 mass. Went to the home, blah, blah, blah. But now the Daily Mail, just one source reporting based on one source of theirs. Okay, so one newspaper with one source says that Nancy Guthrie had not been going to church physically since COVID, that she'd been live streaming it. Not even like Zooming where the churchgoers can see you, but just live, like watching the church's live stream on her like home TV or computer. And that there'd be no way for anybody at the church to know she wasn't participating. Now, Brian Enton raised a good point today when I discussed that with him, saying, I just assumed whoever said that, like she hasn't been coming since COVID, did not realize she'd probably moved churches. And I do that. I go to more than one church, depending on what my kids' schedules are on Sunday and their sports and all that. But like, that's another possibility we have to keep in mind. Sure. I can't go right to the nefarious place like somebody lied. But it is an interesting possibility that she was not physically ever at church, and nobody noticed that she wasn't at church. And if that's true, Chad, then we really do have some hard questions for Annie and Tomas. Like, how did you know something was wrong on Sunday morning?
Exactly. So what are y'all's routines on Sunday as a family? You live 10 minutes down the road. Do you typically come over after church and have lunch like I did at my grandmother's house growing up? But again, if that is the case, 100% tough questions are going to have to be asked.
International disputes, inflation, rising national debt, digital currency. There is a never-ending list of reasons that gold has risen over 700% in the last 20 years. And a never-ending list of reasons smart Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals with Birch Gold Group. Gold can thrive during uncertainty, which is why it's a crucial part of a balanced strategy. It gives you peace of mind, given all the events that could impact the U.S. economy. See if holding gold in a tax-sheltered retirement account is right for you. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. Just text MK to the number 989898 to receive your free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, consider letting Birch Gold help you diversify with gold, so you too can have peace of mind regardless of the uncertainty. Text MK to the number 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.